Where's my little thing? Okay. So don't make no announcement. Where's my little poker? The thing that you poke this thing with to no, the thing you poke this little thing to call on you guys here for. Well, it's going to be the finger tonight. Okay, let's see.
Now you remember, this was a year or so ago, it just came out that George W. charged Willie Williams $100,000 for their procedure.
No, I didn't. Why would he do that? That's a group where you should come.
And he says, so on TV says, yes, I think I'm going to help the rest of my life to disable that.
Charging the money.
Can you send somebody to disable it?
Okay. You can't say that about an ex-president. An ex-president. It could be construed as a threat.
My solution is to get Bush, our Cheney, and a non-arbitrated company. Run them through a minefield. The best medical attention known to the world. And they all got healed up. Run them through them. Then they lost all their arms and legs. How does it feel?
I hope your mic isn't on. Okay. Okay. Okay.
People always come from there after they die.
Mm-hmm.
And so, according to the report, there were 300 to
Let out from the concert.
and so
I'd like to call the meeting of November 2nd to order. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Thank you, Mayor Ford. Mayor Pro Tem Bullock.
Here.
Councilman Amador.
Present.
Councilman Teeter.
Here.
Councilwoman Carson.
Present.
Councilman Benson.
Here.
Councilman McEldowney. Councilwoman Elliott.
Present.
Councilman Douglas.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Bullock, you have a quorum.
Would the audience please rise and join me in a minute of silence and Pledge of Allegiance, and also send out a prayer to Councilwoman Elliott. She has had death in her family within the last week or so, and we just want to give her our strength to keep her going. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Would you please pass the mic for audience, so the audience can introduce themselves?
Jamie Sturm.
Alan Sturm. Rod Titoni. Doug Hyman with IT.
Jody Hardy, Communications Specialist, City of Commerce City.
Carolyn Keith, Parks and Recreation.
Tim Moore, Recreation.
Chad Redden, Recreation. Zach Ben, Recreation. Roger Tinkenberg, City Manager's Office.
Kathy Blakeman, Human Resources.
Rachel Weisup with CPRA.
Karen O'Donnell, Parks and Recreation.
Cheryl Kirstens, Finance.
Scott Hergenrader, CH2M Hill Team.
Maria DeAndre, Public Works.
Chris Kramer, Community Development.
Jared Draper, Planning Division.
Okay, thank you. Was that everybody? Anybody want to go again? Okay. Okay, I would now like to invite Carolyn Keith from Parks and Recreation forward to do a little presentation and awards. Oh, before you start that, I need a motion to excuse the mayor, Mr. Amador.
Motion to approve Mayor Sean Ford from the meeting for tonight.
Mr. McEldowney?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Okay, the mayor's excused.
Mayor Pro Tem, members of City Council, it is my pleasure to introduce to you tonight Rachel Weisup, the Colorado Parks and Recreation Association Awards Chair, to present awards that the Commerce City Parks, Recreation, and Golf Department received recently at our CPRA annual conference. Rachel?
Thank you, Carolyn. Honorable Mayor Pro Tem and members of council, my name is Rachel Weisup, and I'm the awards chair for the Colorado Parks and Recreation Association, also known as CPRA. Thank you so much for having me this evening. Each year, CPRA organizes an awards program which is designed to recognize and celebrate outstanding individuals and organizations that contribute to the success and value of parks and recreation in the state of Colorado. CPRA has different award categories, all of which are defined by strict criteria requiring tangible demonstration of improving the quality of life for those in our community. This is why it is such a great honor that I share with you that your Commerce City Parks, Recreation, and Golf Department was the recipient of 3 prestigious awards this year, a truly remarkable achievement. First, Paradise Island was awarded the 2015 Columbine Award for new facility design for building a family aquatic center that meets the needs of a growing community and provides a safe, fun, and affordable amenity for individuals throughout the metro area. Next, Tim Moore, Recreation Supervisor of Athletics, was the first recipient of the Colorado Association for Recreational Athletics Legacy Award due to his incredible dedication and extensive commitment to his profession. Through his leadership, passion, and innovative contributions to recreation services, Tim has not only served his community, but he has served those in Parks and Recreation community as well, leaving a true inspiring legacy. Finally, Chad Redden was awarded the 2015 Facility Manager Professional of the Year. Chad demonstrates consideration, respect, dependability, and professionalism, and has proven to be a leader in the industry. The Parks and Recreation profession, along with the City of Commerce City, is fortunate to have such a dedicated and committed individual in our field. Please join me in congratulating the Commerce City Parks, Recreation, and Golf Department.
Okay, everybody come on forward. Don't stand back there and act like you don't know what's about to happen. Would any of you like to say anything? Tim? No. Chad?
I'm good, Renee.
Zach? Carolyn? Karen? Okay, you guys, somebody's got to say something. I know Tim is never at a loss for words. Yeah, I know that's a joke, too.
Actually, I would, since neither Tim nor Chad have chosen to say anything, I would like to, as the Director of Parks and Recreation, certainly acknowledge their contributions to our state association, as well as their contributions here in Commerce City. Both individuals were recognized for their contributions, whether it was in their community or the association, but I think all of you know that Tim Moore has done a significant number of things here in the Commerce City community, and he gives tirelessly of his time and effort here in our community, but also with the Colorado Parks and Recreation Association, as does Chad. Chad is a resident of Commerce City and has given a lot to us in his career here, but it was really nice to see 2 of our professionals recognized as outstanding professionals making contributions to our state association. And secondly, I think Karen might want to say something about the pool, but I would just like to say that you all know how exciting it was to have Paradise Island open this summer, but Karen, Chad, Zach really made a difference in helping get this project done, as did CH2M Hill, their representatives here in the audience. But we were so excited. People across the state are really excited to check Commerce City out and Paradise Island, so we have a lot to be proud of. So with that, Karen?
Carolyn took everything I was going to say, but seriously, I think you all know that we were on a very aggressive timeline with Paradise Island, and it's such a great amenity, and we're so proud to have that within our department to share with this community. And yes, Carolyn mentioned Chad, Zach. They both were on our project team, and it wouldn't be the successful place that it is without those guys, and again, CH2M Hill and everyone else that was part of our project team. So I am very grateful to be part of that team. Thanks.
Anyone from council have anything? Okay, council, we're going to go down there and take a whole bunch of pictures, because there's a lot of people getting a lot of awards. So let's go down. Oh, no, you come on back up here. You just don't get to run away after awards. Everybody hold it up.
Okay. I think we got it. Thank you.
Okay, before we go any further, there is an item that's been pulled from the public hearing, and we need the city's been notified that the process for applying for a CDBG grant has changed and a public hearing is not required. I'd like to get a motion to withdraw this resolution. Mr. Amador?
Move to withdraw the resolution for the CBDG grant. I don't see which one it is.
It's Resolution 2015-120.
-120. There you go.
Okay. Mr. Teeter?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Would the city attorney please read the title?
Title reads, Resolution in Support of Application for Community Development Block Grant CDBG Project. And I might mention for the benefit of the public and the city council that this is being withdrawn only because the process now for the grant application does not require a public hearing. The application will go forward, just be handled administratively by the staff, and it won't require city council action.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Amador?
Did we jump ahead over citizens communication?
Oh, no, I'm just getting this done, so when we get to it, that it's already been withdrawn. Okay. We've had the motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Okay, that will be withdrawn from our public hearings. Okay, next on our list is the citizens' communication, and by my list, I have no one that has signed up. Is there anyone out in the audience that didn't get a chance to sign up for citizens' communication that would like to communicate? Seeing none, we will move on. The next item on our list is the consent agenda. The consent agenda includes items that are routine, procedural, informational, and self-explanatory, and non-controversial. They are presented to the council for a single motion and vote. Any member of council may ask to remove a specific item for further discussion and a separate vote. Is there anyone on council who would like to remove anything tonight? Tonight, there are 6 items listed under the consent agenda. I'll need a motion to approve the consent agenda. Mr. McAdowney?
Would move to approve the consent agenda?
Okay, Ms. Elliott?
Second the motion.
I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Would the city attorney please read the titles?
Yes, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. I'd like to mention in regard to ordinance 2072, it's not necessary to remove it from the consent agenda, but in your packet there, that ordinance in the 6th line down after the word non-taxable, the word services needs to be added because it's a typographical error in the omission of that word. But we'll handle that administratively, and I'll proceed to read the titles of the consent agenda. Resolution authorizing negotiations, purchase, and the exercise of the city's powers of eminent domain to acquire certain property interests necessary for the Tower Road widening project. That's Resolution 2015-78. Resolution 2015-85, resolution approving the 2016 City of Commerce City legislative principles. Resolution 2015-103, resolution approving Second Amendment to the agreement among Adams County, City and County of Broomfield, and the municipalities of Brighton, Commerce City, Federal Heights, North Glen, Thornton, and Westminster to establish the North Metro Task Force as a legal entity. Title of Resolution 2015-115, Resolution granting entry monument license to Buckley Ranch West Homeowners Association, Inc. Title of Resolution 2015-117, Resolution authorizing the intergovernmental agreement regarding provision and funding of juvenile assessment services by the link. Title of Ordinance 2072, Ordinance amending certain provisions of the City of Commerce City Sales and Use Tax Code to bring it into compliance with requirements of Colorado law. That's the consent agenda.
Okay, we've had a motion and a second. The city attorney has read it. We'll have a roll call vote. The consent agenda is passed, 8 yes, 1 excuse. Okay, next on our agenda is a public hearing, Resolution 2015-36. We're reopening the public hearing continued from October 19th. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to come forward and address council on this item? Is there? Okay. No one? I'm going to close the public hearing. Ask council, would you like to discuss the budget? Okay. Is there anyone from would like to come forth and do just a short presentation on the budget, just to give an overview of what we are closing?
Mr. Mayor?
See.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, that is. We did a short presentation at the last meeting. We can, do we have the ability to pull that up and walk through it again?
Or just a verbal if you if you don't have nothing.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, this is all part of the public hearing process, and this is one public hearing, so the presentation was given previously, so if you want to repeat the evidence that was already given, that's certainly acceptable to council's prerogative, but normally in a public hearing, you have evidence presented, and it's just presented for that portion of the public hearing.
Is there anyone on council that would need to have this presented again? Okay. Thank you. Okay, I'd like to get a motion on the resolution. Mr. Amador.
Move to approve Resolution 2015-36.
Mr. Douglas.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Would the city attorney please read the title?
I read resolution adopting the 2016 budget and certification of no budget for the city of Commerce City.
Okay, I have had a motion and a second. The title has been read. It will be a voice vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, the budget has been approved for 2016. Next is a public hearing for CU 112-15. I'm going to invite the opening of the public hearing and invite Jared Draper to come forward and present the case.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, members of City Council. Just wait until the PowerPoint comes up on the screen. All right. Tonight I will be presenting the case CU-112-15 for the property at 7350 Highway 2. It is for the applicant, A Good Shop Incorporated, and the request is for a conditional use permit. The property is zoned PUD. It is part of the Derby Plan Unit Development. It is located along Highway 2. As you can see, the comprehensive plan identifies the subject property for mixed-use development, along with much of the rest of the Derby PUD area. Just taking a quick look at the aerial. Again, along Highway 2, this property also is right along Monaco Street, just to the west. We'll look at the subject property. There's a variety of case history associated with the subject property. First of all, this property was originally constructed as a service garage. There were a few variances provided for the setbacks to be constructed as such. In 2007, there was a zone change from C3 for the subject property to a PUD, or Plan Unit Development, for the Derby Downtown District. This was approved in 2007 and was amended in 2008 to clarify a few standards and regulations, and again amended earlier this year in 2015 to clarify regulations as well as update the land use table. This was approved, and one of those amendments as part of the 2015 Amendment Number 2 was to amend and allow automotive uses and repair for the subject property specifically with a conditional use permit to match the intent of the original construction of the building as a service garage. Earlier this fall in 2015, the applicant did appear before the Derby Review Board to apply for new garage doors as well as paint, and was applied for commercial catalyst funds to be reimbursed 50% of those exterior improvement costs. And some of that work has started to be completed, and I'll show a picture of that in just a moment. The operations of the site would be an auto body repair shop that works pretty exclusively with insurance agencies on claims. A Good Shop Incorporated is owned and operated by Alan Stern. I apologize. This is the expansion of his business that exists currently in North Glen. The hours of operation would be fairly standard, with Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., as well as Saturday. Saturdays would be for deliveries or estimates. And then there would be a few new employees, 5 to 6 initially. And as I mentioned, this would be auto body repair work. They would not service, the service would not include major auto body repair needs. That is something that the applicant does at his existing site in North Glen. A few proposed improvements for the site. First of all of the improvements have been discussed with the applicant and staff and are in line with the vision and goals of the Derby Downtown District Sub-Area Plan. The applicant is also aware that we are working on improvements for Highway 2 and is not in opposition of these improvements. As far as the facade, I did mention the garage doors as well as the paint. It will be getting a facelift at the building, as well as some proposed improvements for new awnings as well as new signage. As for the site, there is the applicant's proposing a wrought iron fence, a shorter fence to reduce pedestrian cut-through traffic, as well as landscaping and doing some improvements to the parking lot, as well as a screen wall to make sure that if there are any tow-ins that come after hours, that those would be shielded from the view of the public right-of-way. Site improvements are obviously important for the subject property because this is going to be and is one of the key entrances into that Derby district. Just a quick site plan showing the building, approximate location for a tow-in wall. The applicant has provided a rendering. As you can see on the left photo is a current photo, and that, I apologize, that photo was actually taken when we uploaded the packet for the City Council meeting. You can see the rendering the applicant has proposed, as well as, although it is waiting for some of the new garage doors, the paint has already been completed on the site, and it definitely looks really good. That photo was taken today. As for Planning Commission, they did look at the Derby PUD zone document, and as it was amended, this property and this use does allow for auto body repair with the approved CUP, and that is the application that the applicant has before you tonight. They are proposing several site improvements for the site, as well as this use will move into a currently vacant site within the Derby District. And finally, there will be some new employment generated by the proposed use of the site as an auto body repair shop. As for CUP approval criteria, it is consistent with the comprehensive plan as well as that Derby PUD zone document. It's compatible with the area and surrounding uses, not having hours of operation that extend early into the morning or late into the night, aligns with the intended use of the building as a service garage, and finally is compliant with all local, state, and federal requirements. There are 3 proposed conditions. The first is some of those site improvements, landscaping, toe and wall, the fencing of the site. I would like to note that there is a change to the 18 months. I did highlight that in red. 18 months, having those completed within 18 months of this approval for the conditional use permit. I also want to note that the Planning Commission did approve this and recommend to City Council with a 9-month period. After that Planning Commission meeting, we did hold a Highway 2 meeting. We're looking at the construction schedule for Highway 2, and we did want to make sure that anytime we can coordinate with an applicant to make improvements, we wanted to make sure that the applicant's not putting in these improvements, and since we don't have a defined timeline for that construction, that we would not be ripping them up or damaging those improvements. And so we wanted to extend that to 18 months. But I did want to note that there is the difference between what the Planning Commission has recommended as well as what staff is recommending tonight based on those conversations around Highway 2. The next is that the applicant shall continue maintenance of the site to include no outdoor storage of junk or inoperable vehicles. The applicant is doing auto body repair work. However, they are only bringing in the number of cars that can be serviced on the site by the number of bays. And then finally, that any or all applicable improvements to the exterior of the building or the site shall be reviewed by the Derby Review Board, which is something that is required within all of the Derby District. As of today, November 2nd, 2015, staff has not received any responses to public notice. And finally, as I mentioned, Planning Commission did vote 5-0 on October 6th, 2015 to forward the request for the CUP for a Good Shop Incorporated to City Council with a recommendation for approval subject to 3 conditions. However, the Planning Commission did approve with the 9 months instead of the 18 months as it has been revised or recommended by staff tonight. That concludes staff's presentation. We are available for any questions, as well as the applicant is here to speak on behalf of the request if there are any questions for him.
Are there any questions from council for staff? Mr. Benson.
Well, one of the slides said that there would be no major auto repairs. What would be the difference between a major auto repair and the kind of repairs that this shop will do?
It's my understanding, I'll let the applicant speak a little bit to it in 1 second, but my understanding is that this would be kind of the body repair is done. They wouldn't be overhauling engines or anything like that on the site, so or rebuilding transmissions and things like that. But
it's all types of body repair.
Right, it's more of a body and collision type repair service.
Okay.
Mr. Amador.
Thank you. So when we say new garage doors, are we just replacing the existing garage doors for aesthetics, or are we punching new holes?
It would be replacing the existing. If you've been to the site, there are a few holes in the existing garage doors, so they would be replacing where they currently are.
Very good. And then secondly, I'm glad to see that staff is looking at the big picture from a 6-month conditional to get improvements done to 18 months. So I'm sure the applicant's aware, and you've worked with them on the improvements of that intersection that are going to happen with the widening of Highway 2? Yes?
Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
Ms. Carson.
I just had a question on this mural that they're wanting to paint. Where would that be?
Well, we have talked about if there is a toe-in wall. Since it would be more of a screen wall, there could be opportunity for public art to be done on that screen wall. So that's something that staff and the applicant are still in discussions about, and obviously lining up if there's an artist or something like that to make it happen.
And does that go in front of the Derby Review Board?
It would.
It would. Okay. Thank you.
Are there any other questions from council? If not, would the applicant like to come forward with any additional information that staff hasn't presented? Yeah, I need your name and address for the record.
Alan Sturm, 7350 Highway 2. Hello, Commerce City. Yeah, I want a slight correction on the garage doors. There was 7 versus 6. Remember so to the left on the entryway there would be another one versus going in from the west side like it originally would. It would go through like where the glass is right now. And that was per your recommendation for traffic. So, but other than that, we're excited about it. And we won't be doing any major collision work like heavy total loss rebuilding or anything like that. It's just basically public collision work. And it's, pretty quick. And everything would be on a scheduled basis. That's pretty much it. Yeah, and we proposed a block wall, like at night if we have a tow-in, the cars would be there, so in the morning that before they were addressed, they wouldn't be in the public's eye. Eyesore.
Okay. Do I have any questions from council for the applicant? Mr. Benson.
I'd just like to say thanks for coming to Commerce City and welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Ms. Carson.
Oh, I got a question for you. Can you?
Okay.
So in my packet on the proposed, look, it looks a little different than this. So you're saying where these big glass doors are, that will be a garage door?
Yeah, like if you're looking from where I am, you see the glass to the left of all the doors, which was the man door.
Right.
Where the man door is on that picture would move down to I guess that would be to the east. And then there's another overhead door that goes in there. So there's a little bit of framing work that goes in that existing hole, but there won't be any change to the structure.
And then is there another customer entrance door? That's what I'm looking at in this picture, and they both have little awnings over them?
There's 2. If you look at the 6 doors just to the left of that,
Right.
There is a man door right there.
So there is a man door there, and then
Yeah.
another one here, and then the awnings over them?
Right. So one would be a shop entrance, and the other would be office.
Okay. And then this gray wall, that's just a solid wall that doesn't, this end stays just like this, the orange and the white, and...
Yeah, that's like a roll-down overhead steel shutter that there was glass in there at one time.
Okay, yeah, because I was going to say this picture I'm looking at looks like maybe it's operable.
Yeah.
Mr. Draper, could you go back to the facade improvement? Yeah, there, okay. And that shows the 6 doors.
Yeah, so that's real close to what you're doing.
Yeah, my daughter drew it on the computer. I didn't do it. She's pretty talented.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Mr. Teeter.
Yes, I'd also like to thank you for choosing Commerce City. This is going to be a great improvement for that area right there. We've been looking for something to come in there for quite a while to bring that back up to the speed as far as appearances. And so just welcome and thank you.
Thank you.
Any further questions from council? Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address council on this case? Not seeing anyone? I'm going to close the public hearing. Council, would you like to any discussion on this case? Mr. McAdowney? Oh, okay. Okay, can I get a motion to approve the planning recommendations of the Planning Commission? Mr. McAdowney.
I would move to accept the facts or the findings and recommendations of the Planning Commission.
Mr. Teeter.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion to accept the facts and findings of the Planning Commission. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, and that would be with the 18-month
right
change in lieu of the 9 months.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. With the 3 conditions and the 18-month provision.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Okay, I'd like to get a motion for the approval of the conditional use permit. Mr. Benson.
So moved.
Mr. Douglas.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for the conditional use permit of CU 112-15. Would the city attorney please read the title?
Title reads Conditional Use Permit for an Auto Body Repair Shop, case CU-112-15. And that's with the
18 months instead of 9
change.
months as
Yes.
approved by the Planning Commission. Okay, I've had a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Okay, you have your conditional use permit. Thank you very much, and thank you for coming to Commerce City. I hope that you do a booming business. You might be seeing me. Okay. Next on the agenda are resolutions. Our first resolution is Resolution 2015-119. Anyone on council have any questions regarding this resolution? Is there anyone in the audience who would like to address council regarding this resolution? Can I get a motion for approval of the resolution? Mr. McAdowney.
Would move to approve Resolution 2015-119.
Ms. Carson.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for approval of Resolution 2015-119. Would the city attorney please read the title?
Title reads, Resolution Approving an Intergovernmental Agreement to Jointly Fund the Design of a Facility to Provide Professional and Comprehensive Services for Sexually, Physically, and Emotionally Abused Children and their families.
Okay, the city attorney has read the title. I've had a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
First, was there any discussion? I'm sorry. Seeing none. All those opposed, same sign. Okay, the resolution passes. Okay, next on the agenda are presentations. We have a capital program update. And if it doesn't come up, everybody should refresh your laptops. But if it doesn't come up, we have the hard copies in our program packets. Scott, would you like to come forward and give the presentation, sir?
I will do. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, and good evening, members of City Council. This is our 7th installment of the quarterly update, so we're 7 quarters into the overall program. And on behalf of the city management team, my colleague from CH2M Hill, Danielle Yearsley, and Public Works and Parks, Maria Dandria, and Carolyn Keith, pleasure to give you this update tonight. So just as a quick reminder of the Measure 2K, it was approved by voters in 2013, committed to 5 projects in 5 years, and the key goals and objectives were to build high-quality facilities at the lowest possible cost, as well as maintenance and as well as capital, spend the dollars wisely and transparently, and complete the projects on time. And speaking of time, you see the red vertical line going through the original schedule for the program. We're at the 7th quarter at this point, And the blue bars represent the original timeframes outlined at the time of the measure, and the yellow diamonds are where we're currently forecasting. So you can see we're still ahead of schedule on a couple of projects, specifically with the Frontera project completing earlier this year. As we look at the program budget, again, there's $137 million that's been set aside for the program. That includes contingency management as well as the budgets for the capital projects themselves. And in terms of the revenues, as you recall, this was a 1% add to the sales and use tax. And through 2014, that was $10.2 million in collections. And through 2015, not audited and finalized, but through 2015 Q3, we're at just under $7 million with a target to essentially hit where we were last year. To date, we've expended $17.8 million of the total program related to projects. As we look at the update, and just to train your eyes, we measure all of the projects across the project life cycle. So starting from left to right, we're looking at planning through design, through bidding, construction, and closeout. So as we look to the right, you can see Frontera has been completed and is currently in the acceptance process. The outdoor pool is closed out. What's next on the list is we're bidding right now the Turnberry neighborhood and the Villages at Buffalo Run East neighborhood parks. And we have the Tower Road expansion under design. And as you all know, you've been of great help, as well as the CIP Citizens Advisory Committee, in helping with a lot of the planning meetings and public outreach and input meetings for the new and the existing recreation centers. You had all asked, and we hope to address that here with the similar types of reporting for the capital improvement projects that are not part of Measure 2K. And so you see the Public Works projects in yellow and the Parks, Rec, and Golf projects in green. And again, looking at the right-hand side, you can see we have two of these projects under construction in Public Works, and that's the Pavement Management Program for 2015, as well as the 104th widening, the current Phase 3B. Looking at what's currently under bid, we have the 104th and Potomac traffic signal, as well as sidewalk connectivity. And in the Parks, Rec, and Golf, we have the Phase 1 irrigation replacement. Under design, we have Highway 2 widening, which you've also been providing comments for, and the Buffalo Run Clubhouse improvements, which are going to be moving into the bid phase here very quickly here in Q4. I'll touch on that one here in just a bit. So that's an overview of the CIP projects. The highlights in Q3 of this year, obviously the outdoor leisure pool was opened with great celebration and fanfare and has been highly subscribed. That opened on July 10th. And the Frontera Neighborhood Park was opened and the celebration was held on August 2015. Other actions in terms of community engagement, planning, and contracting, we've held numerous public input meetings on the Recreation Center in August, as well as Citizen Advisory Committee meetings. We closed on the transaction for the property. We call it Parcel O, but that's the parcel that the new Recreation Center will be developed on. And we completed the programming efforts for that, and I reported out 2 weeks ago here at City Council some of the feedback statistics that we had, and we had a great outreach event and a lot of citizen participation. In terms of contracting, there's a lot of really good things happening right now. The new Recreation Center infrastructure design contract has been awarded and it was kicked off. And we've also received qualification statements for the designers, the architects, if you will, for the new Recreation Center. On the CIP side, the design plans for Buffalo Run Clubhouse improvements was completed. The irrigation replacement construction contract was awarded, and the 104th and Potomac traffic signal and 2015 pavement maintenance projects underway. As we look to the future in Q4, we're going to be receiving the bids, as I mentioned, for the two neighborhood parks, and we're going to be awarding the Recreation Center design contract which we anticipate coming before you on December 7th. On the design side, the new recreation center improvements then will obviously start. They're in progress now. I'm already in Q4, so I'm getting ahead of myself here. And we're going to be finalizing the Tower Road design, 81st to 104th. On the contracting side, I mentioned I wanted to touch just a little bit on the Buffalo Run clubhouse improvements. These improvements are in line with the 2014 golf course strategic plan that was adopted by all of you previously. It's going to include a major refresh of all the carpet and the paint throughout the clubhouse, as well as address some of the needs and improvements to the conference room and the restrooms, as well as address some needs in the back of house related to some offices and storage areas. These improvements now will not impact operations. The clubhouse will be closed, but the golf course will remain open during this entire time. Future improvements, I know there's been inputs that you all have had thinking about what's next for this clubhouse. The future improvements that may include expanded parking and expansion to the clubhouse itself and banquet facilities. Those are going to be discussions that will be coming forward. Staff will be making recommendations. What we're doing here right now will not preclude any of those good ideas for the future. But when we talk now about when this program will, or this project will roll out, bids are going to be received in 3 weeks. This action for the construction contract will be coming before you on December 7th, and the work execution will take place in Q1 of this coming year. So a lot will be happening, and it's going to be a great opportunity. And in terms of delivery, this approach to get this work done as quickly as possible will really minimize any impact to the users. So that's a bit on the what and the when for this project. It's going to be exciting. As we look ahead on the CIP front, then continue to hold community citizen advisory committee meetings. We have one scheduled for this Wednesday. There's a Highway 2 meeting scheduled on November 10th, so that's next Tuesday. Good news, 104th Avenue will be open to all lanes of traffic by the end of the year. I know everybody's very excited about that. Continue with some of the work that I mentioned earlier, as well as some sidewalks and CDBG projects. So our 8th installment, or the 2-year update, will be held in February, and wanted to entertain any questions. And one final comment before we get into that is 2 things, really, is you saw some really nice awards being offered here earlier for some of the Parks and Recreation staff that have been working so hard on the program. I think that's really just the frosting on the cake. Everybody's been working really, really hard. 2015 has been an extraordinarily busy year, and I think you've heard me say this previously, but I just wanted to say it again, is all of the folks at the city, and I'm talking about Parks and Public Works, but I'm also talking about the functional groups, whether it's finance, whether it's contracts and legal, whether it's IT, whether it's communications. They all had day jobs before this program came around, and they've got over $200 million in management that they're working on right now. So they're all extraordinarily busy, and it's been an absolute pleasure to work with them. So when you see one of those folks in your office, please give them a big slap on the back. They're working really, really hard. But with that, that's the report, and I'd like to address or answer any questions I can. Thank you.
Okay, are there any questions from council? Mr. Benson.
Yes, thank you for that update. Concerning 104.3B, that's going to be completely finished by the end of the year, is that right?
That's correct. 4 lanes will be open to traffic. There will still be some closeout activity and punch list activity, but those lanes will be open by the end of the year.
You know, the thing that I've really noticed is that we've got 2 left turn lanes going onto Highway 85, and you have to get way up there before you can get over in those 2 left turn lanes. It looks like all the concrete is complete, almost back to the railroad tracks. I mean, I've seen that traffic be stacked up almost back to Highway 2 because they couldn't get over to make a left-hand turn. Can anything be done about that before the end of the year? Seems like the concrete's already there, it's just a matter of taking the cones out of the way so people can get over there and get over into their left turn lanes, because they have to get up pretty far to be able to get enough room to get over there.
It's a good question, Councilman. I think what I'd like to do is invite our Public Works Director, Maria D'Andrea, to address that specific question.
Yes, Councilmember Benson, the left turn there, we're still constructing the median west of, or between the railroad tracks and US 85, and that's what causing still the need for traffic cones in that area. So once we complete the median work, then they'll be able to open that up, but not before then. But we would hope within the next month or so.
So you're talking about by the end of the year then?
Correct.
It's not going to happen until the whole thing's complete?
Correct. We're still working on that median work.
Okay. It's just a big problem. I mean, all you're trying to do is make a left-hand turn onto Highway 85, and you have to wait, a long time for that one string of traffic to get through there. Well, you know what I mean. Anyway.
Understand, yep.
Okay, well, thank you.
Mr. Douglas.
Yes. Maria, don't go away. Sorry. Thanks for the presentation on this quarter report. That was a question about the Potomac Street Bridge replacement. Where exactly is that at?
Yes, so we're that's rated an 11 out of 100. The lower the score, the worse. And what we're doing, we're applying through CML for a bridge replacement program that they monitor, or they administer through CDOT. They get some funds. So those applications are due on November 20th. But we have done some preliminary work to look at what it would take to replace that bridge. And so we'd like to get the application in place, hopefully get that funding, and then move forward for next year.
And where exactly is that at, Potomac?
Oh, that's north of Highway 2. It serves about 5 properties. It crosses the O'Brien Canal just north of Highway 2. At a slight angle, you go just over the railroad tracks, and then there is a little bridge there.
Okay.
Pretty small.
All right, thank you.
Okay, I have 2 questions. One, the sign at Paradise Island on 60th and Monaco that says completion, the big sign, can we take that down? I think everybody knows that that is done, and it's sitting right in front of Cockleboro. And nobody can see Cockleboro because the sign's there, but everybody asks me, why is that sign up when we've seen kids in the pool all summer? So that is one. And then my other one is going to be really a big one because it's going to scare me to death at this late minute. But first, can you answer the first one?
We can certainly take a look at that sign. I know our communications folks had a plan at the start of the projects, how long it made sense to leave those signs up after the projects are completed, to let the community know that the projects are completed, but we must be nearing that time where it's appropriate to take that one down. So we can certainly check on that.
And you can put a smaller sign, like campaign sign that shows Project 1 completed out of 5, something that signifies that it's done. But the big sign, a lot of people say that everybody knows it's done by now and it's closed for the winter. But now my second question is the clubhouse at Buffalo Run going to be closed this winter? We have a Christmas party planned for Rotary on December 20th at Buffalo Run that's been scheduled since last year. Please do not tell me I have to find another place at this late date to schedule the party. It's going to be closed? Uh-oh.
You're going to be fine for that party.
I'll be fine?
Clubhouse won't be closed until January.
Okay, so we can have the Christmas party on December 20th?
You can.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Ooh, okay. There's no place else to look right now for Christmas parties, so that would have been... Any other council people have a question? Well, thank you, Scott. That was a
Many
great
thanks.
presentation.
Thanks for all of your support. It's greatly appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up on our presentation is the 2015 third quarter work plan update. I invite Deputy City Manager Hayes to make the presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem and City Council. This is the 2015 third quarter work plan update. We did go ahead and hand out the Excel spreadsheet hard copy for you tonight. We had some challenges with the electronic system. It is available now electronically as well, so if you want to download that from your Granicus Legistar app, it should be available for you. Again, the annual work plan continues to be divided into projects and operations, all tied to the 5 council goals. Again, this year we shifted from department level info to updates focused on alignment with those goals. And you just heard a very detailed update on the capital improvement program related to Goal 3, which we're going to continue to present separately. Some of the data that I'm going to present tonight, again, is tracked annually, and the Q4 report will include a lot more information on some of those things. Just a few highlights. I'm not going to read all of this, but I want to point out a few things. First of all, there's an economic development division that actually provide a supplemental report this time around, which has a lot of trend data, and that was included as a separate attachment in your packet. You've seen that presented separately by Ms. Claymore, and so we just want to include that kind of catching up with this quarterly update from now on. I want to point out that the enterprise zone, we coordinated a response with ACED to address a lot of concerns, and happy to report that in October that was approved. So we do have a lot of land around DIA that's included in that enterprise zone area. Quick update on urban renewal as well. We had an executive session regarding the Greyhound Park in September. The MDA, or Master Development Agreement negotiations, are ongoing. We're continuing to meet with our master developer, Mr. Wells, and hopefully we'll have an update for you by the end of the year. Schedule permitting, it might spill into January. The other thing I want to point out over on the side there, we've added a new feature here where we're trying to compare some, not just quarterly data, but year-to-date compared to 3 quarters last year. And I want to point out a couple of interesting things with prospect inquiries. We've had 79 year-to-date. Last year at this time we're at 72, so we're a little ahead of schedule. BRE visits, or business retention and expansion visits, so we had 24 compared to 19 at this point last year. And we think we're well on track to meet our goal of 30. And in terms of business licenses, we've already hit our goal again for this year, and maybe need to actually increase that looking at 2016. It's another new format we've included here in presenting some of the data about development. You'll note here we've got Q3 data as well as Q3 2015 year-to-date, as well as last year year-to-date. The valuation's actually a little bit lower than they were last year. As you can see, 81 million versus 60 million, but the permit numbers are on track. And you'll notice at the bottom, the active land use cases are quite a bit higher than they were last year at this time. And so if you think that's the rat moving through the snake, right, that's going to turn into permits over time that should, again, increase those valuations. A couple of new business highlights. Some of you attended the Bell Creek office share that opened in last quarter, as well as Precast Concepts, who's a business here in Commerce City, continues to expand and open a new 27,000 square foot expansion up near 96th Avenue. Next goal related to a financially sound city government. Just a couple of things I want to point out here. We've had the first 5-year CIP that was drafted. Again, we're going to be essentially tabling that until the winter retreat, but hopefully we can get that finally adopted in the first quarter next year. Organizational development, there was a lot of discussion about the switch to United Healthcare, and so there have been a lot of data analysis, a lot of meetings with employees regarding medical benefits, and those are continuing this quarter. Over in the call-out box related to safety and risk management, we've completed 5 of the 7 elements of the Risk Management Alliance program. Again, and just a few of those highlights, accident investigations, claims processing, and department safety programs have all been implemented in the last quarter. And you'll see some workers' comp numbers that'll prove out how this is really taking hold within the organization. Organizational development also is continuing in the police department. The use of force inspection was completed, and recommendations will be included in the 2016 work plan. The sex assault audit has also been completed, and a criminal justice professor at the University of Colorado is assisting in the data collection and the development of some recommendations. With respect to water, we issued a fee study RFP, which is a joint project with the Water District, selected Raftellus as the preferred contractor, and we should have results in early 2016, which will also include a formal presentation to City Council at that time. Bottom right there in the call-out box, you see the workers' comp cases. Again, we had 11 last quarter, but that's 32 year-to-date compared to 61 through the third quarter of last year. So you can see, again, the safety culture is really taking hold within the organization, and a lot of kudos go to Duetta Allert, our risk manager, that has led that effort. Annual capital maintenance. Again, just a few highlights there. We had our major capital improvements that were done during the rec center annual shutdown. I know that was some concern last spring about some of the conditions out there, and so happy to report we've completed a lot of those improvements. Golf procurement and contracting was completed for the parking lot lighting, as well as phase 1 for the irrigation replacement, and the slurry seal project was completed in Public Works, and some 104th Avenue concrete panel replacement projects were also completed. Another interesting figure over here, through the systematic maintenance program and being more formalized with our approach to maintenance, you can see that we actually had 100,000 gallons of fuel used year to date compared to 111,000 last year at this time. So again, becoming more efficient with our resources as we get more systematic with our approach to maintenance. Strategic policing program. Again, you can see a lot of stats there, but year-to-date, the GEO Command held 28 community meetings on a variety of areas and topics. In traffic safety program, there were 8 data-driven approaches to crime and traffic safety, or DDACTS. Those were conducted in the city and led to 461 summons issued for behaviors that can lead to accidents. Again, some new information and formatting on the neighborhood services. We've had roughly about the same number of court cases, but you'll notice we've got a lot more courtesy notices and notices of violation this year to date than we did last year. And just a reminder of how that operates. Courtesy notices, again, are putting people on notice that they may have a violation they should remedy, and then that leads to a notice of violation if the complaint still is in place after the next inspection. You also had an update on the HEAL committee at one of your study sessions, and I've got some highlights there for you as well. Fifth goal regarding engaging the public. With Channel 8, we're working through our issues with the School District 14. And there was a new video content has been created for the Channel 8 channel and YouTube as well. The youth, we've researched the youth coordinator position as part of the budget. I'll be looking forward to that for 2016. And then some trends over in communications. You can see that year-to-date collateral increased from 591 at this time last year to 978, as well as increasing fans and followers on Facebook and Twitter. You can see the increases from just the last quarter going up by 147 fans and 108 followers, respectively. City events, a lot of you participated in the MLS All-Star Game in July. Seems like a long time ago, but it was in the third quarter. As well as some of the great capital project openings that Scott mentioned, Frontera Park, Paradise Island dedication, and the opening. And then the Tony Gramscis Youth Grant implementation, you can see all the great programs that were available for our youth as part of that in the call-out box. Lastly, the finance slide. Again, percent used and received in this column should be roughly 75%. We're 3/4 of the way through the year. So you can see revenues are outpacing expenditures by $3.85 million through the first 3 quarters. Keeping in mind this is unaudited and some quarterly revenues have not been received. And so those numbers will be reflected in the Q4 update and then, of course, when the final audit comes through. But I would point out in the bottom right of the call-out box, Scott had mentioned we have $6.98 million in revenue from the 1% 2K sales tax, which puts us right on plan for well over $10 million, again, within the range of what we projected. I think our plan documents show $9 million, trying to be very conservative, so we're ahead of schedule in that regard, too. That concludes my presentation. Open for any questions.
Are there any questions from council to Mr. Hayes? Mr. Amador?
Thank you, Jim. One of the comments before is you had a day job before this. How are you managing that day job? Kidding. No, actually, good job. I see a lot of movement on a bunch of different fronts from almost all of the departments, and I think the communication that needs to happen between the departments, legal, all the way across the board is extremely taxing from the things that I see right here and the amount of dollars that we're working with the city. So I know that the community is watching, and it's exciting to be on this council right now and watch this transpire before our eyes, and we're actually making things happen. So really good job on the presentation. I see just so many moving parts. Channel 8 permits. I mean, we're taxing staff big time. So hopefully, maybe in the future, we'll be in a position to hire more people to help out. So thank you.
Mr. McAdowney.
I just want to echo a bit of what Mr. Amador said. First of all, hats off to staff and the partners from CH2M Hill. I think it's one thing to say that there's a lot of work going on. I think you guys all know it's difficult to put it into words just how much there is going on, and when you have that many highly complex and highly interrelated projects going on, it is not easy. And the thing that I'm most impressed with is the attitudes and the positivity that seem to be abounding right now. There's a lot of excitement and a lot of energy because of this activity, and I can't think of a time, to Andrew's point, in my time on council where it's been this exciting to be around and have a hand in some way, shape, or form in what's going on. And I think, I don't think I know, words cannot sort of do justice to the amount of blood, sweat, and tears that are going into making these things happen by staff. We put a huge target out there, and you guys stepped up to support that when we asked the voters to support this initiative. And it's a lot of work to get done in that time frame. 2K alone, add to that all the other stuff that's happening, wrapping up 104th, Highway 2, on and on and on. It's evident that the work has gone into the systems and the process improvements that enable that to happen. Folks are working smarter than I've ever seen, and that is huge, and that positions us, to do all kinds of great things, right? We saw whether it's the fuel savings or each of these other little items, those don't happen unless things are clicking and people are able to operate at a level that they haven't been able to operate at before. And I just want to say thank you. We do recognize it, even if we're not saying it every day. It's nice to be able to say to members of the community with absolute certainty that we have a staff that's doing everything in their power to make this stuff happen in the most efficient and the most effective way possible. I think the example from tonight with coordinating Highway 2 with a new business is just another perfect example, right? The coordination of Highway 2 and the rec center infrastructure. I mean, these are things that, no disrespect to staff and councils of the past, that's not what I saw happening when I stepped into this role. That level of forward thinking and cross-departmental, cross-organizational, and even cross-entity coordination. Things are operating at a very great level right now, and I just, we see it, I think, in this report, but I don't know that it's even as clear as it could or should be, and I want to make sure the community is aware of how proud they should be, so thank you.
Thank you. Any other council comments? Well, I'd like to say thank you also, Jim. That is a lot of information, and 90% of the time you don't get that much information, and it's all positive. So thank you, and thanks staff for all the hard work they're doing, because I know they're doing the work of sometimes 2 and 3 people to in order to get these things done, because just like it was said before, they do have day jobs on top of these jobs. So thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. Next on the agenda is administrative council business. I'm going to ask City Manager McBroom to discuss meeting schedule changes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. We do have two items listed on the agenda tonight that are worthy of council's consideration. I had mentioned last week, in order to better balance some upcoming agendas, we're actually recommending that you convert the November 23rd study session to a special meeting, which would need to be done by motion tonight.
We didn't hear that.
Yes, we did. It's $5.
Hold on for just a moment. I can give you an update from Monday Night Football.
What's the score,
well.
Bob?
The second item for council's consideration, and it might be a bit premature, we've been working to manage your work schedule, understanding that the study session on December 28th is perhaps not a night when a lot of folks would like to be here attending the meeting. So we are working to manage the agenda such that that study session won't be necessary. There is a third item that we don't have listed here. I've shared with you via email a desire to provide some updates on ongoing efforts in the police department at next week's study session. Related to that, we would like council to consider a special meeting to follow next Monday's study session to allow us to share some information that could only be shared in an executive session as part of a special meeting. So that's a third request that we would have of you that's not listed. I'm happy to answer any questions about any of those three.
Okay. Does council, Mr. McAdowney? Okay. What is the date next Monday?
November 9th.
November 9th. Okay. So we have a request to do 2 special meetings and cancel 1 meeting on December 28th. By any chance, Mr. City Manager, December 28th, that date has a ring to it. Is there anything else that happens on December 28th?
I just know that we have a study session scheduled that night.
Oh. Okay. I will think about that and figure out. Somebody has a birthday. Anybody up here on council have a birthday on the 28th? Bob, is that your birthday?
January 20th.
Jim, is that your birthday? Oh, okay. Well, somebody does. No, my birthday's in July. Okay. Okay, I need a motion to make a special meeting for November 23rd. Mr. McAdowney.
A question to the attorney. Can I make a motion that requests all 3 of these things in a single motion? Any procedural concern? Great. So then I would move that we change the study session of November 23rd to a special meeting, that we cancel the council meeting planned study session on the 28th of December, and that we add a special meeting to follow our study session next Monday night, November 9th.
Mr. Teeter.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Okay, that is taken care of. Anybody else on council have any administrative council business? Okay, seeing none, we'll go to reports. Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. We did send via email this week's City Manager update. Just briefly, we have a garbage and recycling program update, some updated numbers on our transition to fully automated collection. We also have an update on our public art program and the process that's underway to select public art for Paradise Island Pool. We also have an update on the upcoming 9 Health Fair, which is scheduled for this Saturday, November 7th. And that's it. Happy to answer any questions the council has.
Okay, do we have any questions from council? Mr. McDowney.
Thank you for the update. Related to the waste management update, I know we've got a second community collection event that has been scheduled because of the continued exceptional weather and delay in leaves falling. But one of the things that I think we had talked about before, and I know it wasn't in our inability to do so in the short term, was some sort of a composting solution. I've had several folks ask about programs that exist in Denver has one, I think Aurora has one, and I could be misquoting the communities, but where there are locations within the community where folks are able to drop off select types of material for composting purposes, and that same compost is then made available for sale at a later point in time. Would be interested in seeing if we have locations that might be viable for that kind of drop-off. I know there are, any number of considerations around those things being used for purposes other than what we want them to be used for, but just as one additional alternative to help balance out the constraints of our fully automated collection with the desire to, help folks find alternative ways to dispose of these things. I'd like to see if those are things that we could potentially do. I know the offering here for the major cleanup events is helpful, but that's a one-day, sort of sweet spot in a day where many folks are not going to want to lose that day to go drop off that material. If that same opportunity was there to drop off material, on sort of an any day of the week basis within a wider range of time, that may beget greater results. The other piece to that is just I continue to see examples where folks have no idea that they are entitled to the 5 major pickups. I communicated to a couple of folks recently on social media that these are within your toolkit as a citizen in this community. This is part of the services that we pay for. So whether it's a reminder blast through social media or a reinforcement through the city news, just reminding folks that, if you feel like you've got a ton of stuff, feel like you can mass it up and, take advantage of one of your large item cleanups. I would think that, especially as neighborhoods in the northern part of the community mature and folks' trees are producing more leaves, they're going to deal with the same kinds of challenges that many parts of our historic community that have those mature trees are dealing with. So, part of what we talk about, and I was reading back through the waste management update, it talks about that education component, right? The waste diversion, it talks about, all of these sort of objectives, and education is one of those pieces. Not everybody thinks about how to collect leaves in the same way. Not everybody has a leaf vac that can, chop up the leaves to put them in smaller amounts. So what are the things that we can be doing to, again, help the community look at problems, look at their, at these challenges in a different way, and what things can we add to our offerings to help kind of balance out those resources? Does that make sense? Okay.
Okay. I was waiting for a reply, but that sounded good to me. Okay. Any more of the reports? Mr. City Attorney.
Some time ago, the council instituted a practice of imposing a $5 fine if you got a cell phone that rang during the meeting.
It's $25 for an iPad.
For whatever reason, my iPad started talking to me, but I'll put in the 5, and that'll double what we have in there. Councilman Benson gave me 5, and I'm holding, but that's all I've got. So that means you have $10 for a purpose to serve in the future.
Okay, well, thank you, Mr. City Attorney. And what was your iPad talking to you about? Okay, never mind, we'll leave that alone.
And there have been several other phones that have gone off, and nobody's paid anything. So there are a lot of people that are indebted
Well,
to you as the curator of this
I'm
phone.
just holding the money, I'm not collecting it, so.
Okay.
I don't have anything else to report. Thanks.
Okay. I see that we have quite a few up here. Mr. Douglas.
Yes. Brian, I just looking through City Manager report. I didn't see anything up on the update on the contract or the what they came up with on Chambers Bridge, the consultant on the 3 different choices.
You're right. We had committed last week to sending you our analysis of the bridge options. We'll make sure that gets out to you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Benson.
This is a report section, right?
Yes, sir.
I want to
this
make
is.
a report on something that happened last Thursday night. It was that A-list event out at the Wings Over the Rockies. The speaker was
Woodward, Bob Woodward.
Bob Woodward of Woodward and Bernstein Watergate fame. This guy talked for about, 45 minutes?
Correct.
He managed to blast both political parties, praise both political parties, and walk the fine line right down the middle, so you really couldn't tell whether he's a Democrat or Republican, and he's probably not either one. But that was an outstanding event to go to. I know Mr. Bullock went, Mr. Teeter went,
Mr. Douglas.
Mr. Douglas went. Just outstanding.
Thank you. Mr. Teeter.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Bullock. I'd like to address the youth in Commerce City for the last 2 weekends. First, I would like to thank the coaches for Commerce City Youth for this fall session. A lot of time and effort went into preparing these kids and getting them into the playoffs, and as well as the parents that made sure their kids are involved in some kind of program to keep them off the streets and keep them involved. But last Saturday night, the CCYA 9th grade football team, which has been a great program over there for the 9th graders for the last 3 years, they finally got beat this year in the semifinals. So it's the first loss in 3 years for our Commerce City CCYA football team. They ended up in 3rd place in the state playoffs. The Commerce City lacrosse team, this lacrosse team is the 8, 9, and 10-year-olds. This has been started a few years ago by the Commerce City Rec Center. And this is the first time this year that a team has made it into the state playoffs. And that was the 8, 9-year-olds. And they did finish, they did lose in the state finals 8-11 to the same team that beat them during league. So this program has come a long ways for the Commerce City lacrosse group also. The Cara volleyball tournament was this weekend. Basically, it was the ages from, the ones that I went and attended was ages, or grades 6, 7, and 8. That's the 2 from the Commerce City Rec team down here and 1 from the Reunion team up in Reunion. They finished 4th, 5th, and 6th in state this last weekend, and I feel the competition was a lot better this year than it was last year. But again, thank all the people and the coaches out there and for the great work they've done for these youth.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Teeter. Ms. Carson.
I'll be brief. I just wanted to tag on to Mr. McEldowney talking about waste management. We have another date scheduled for residential leaf and green yard waste. So anybody listening, get your stuff ready. It's November 21st from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. And then I just want to say a few words about tomorrow. Tomorrow's election day. You need to vote. If you haven't voted, please get your ballot in. There's a fact out there that I'm not sure too many people know. your voting record is public. We know whether you vote or you don't know. Your neighbor can look to see if you vote or you don't vote. So I think it's time that we as citizens started calling one another out, that you need to exercise your right to vote. There's too many things that are important. There's too much ignorance. You need to pay attention to what is going on. So please vote. I know that the projection for 27J 3C is down. Because once again, after you lose and everybody then is frustrated, everybody's going to vote. So hopefully we have some mad dash tomorrow, and we see a lot more participation. Ms. Bauer, I don't want to put you on the spot, but can you tell me typically, I know you know how many registered voters we have, but percentage-wise, what do we get returned?
Currently, we have approximately 25,000 registered voters in the city of Commerce City. And also during these coordinated election years, so non-general election years, we tend to see low voter turnout. We're lucky if we see 20%.
There's a lot of important things out there. The city, the mayor is up for election. That's pretty important if you live in the city of Commerce City. And if you live in the 27J school district, that's very important. And I will quit, but please get your ballots in tomorrow.
Mr. McAdowney.
I just want to coattail Ms. Carson's comments. These come from some conversations that some of us have had in recent days within the community, and I think the numbers from Ms. Bauer are incredibly important, and I hope that people out there and listening, when you think about the fact that we have a city of roughly 50,000 people, right? Let's just let that number sink in for a second. 50,000 people, 25,000 of them, that's half, are registered to vote. And of those, in an election like this year, you're going to see roughly 20% of that turn out. So do the math, right? How few people are making the decision that impacts you day in, day out. For the folks that choose to gripe, for lack of a more politically correct term, about the state of affairs, there's a very simple answer. Get up off your couch, fill out your ballot, slip it into the ballot box, and vote. I know people get frustrated about the state of affairs at the national level. The reality is there is nowhere you can have an impact more than locally, whether that is with a city council race or a school board race or a school bond or your local HOA. The fact of the matter is it is more than your privilege. It is, in fact, a responsibility in my mind for us to participate in this democratic process. So get out there and vote, people.
Mr. Teeter.
Yes, now that we're on this subject here, this council and the staff have worked for 2.5 years getting in place this ballot issue of 1A for DIA. And we've worked 2.5 years on this thing. It's good for Adams County, and it's going to be very good for Commerce City. So make sure you get out and vote and get behind this 1A for DIA.
Mr. Benson.
Yeah, I'd like to ask this of Ms. Bauer. We've got 50,000 people, 25,000 registered voters. How many of the other 25,000 are eligible to vote? I mean, over the age of 18. Do we have that kind of demographic?
I don't have those figures.
But I'd probably have to say that probably 2/3 of the remaining 25,000 are not even eligible to vote. They're children. So
those would be census figures, and I don't have those.
I'm sorry, what?
Those would probably be obtained through the census.
Yeah.
And I don't have that data.
So our percentage of registered voters is not that bad, I guess. It's just a matter of getting people out to vote. We're only going to have a 20% turnout. That means 5,000 people are going to vote in this election, which isn't very many out of a population of 50,000. Okay, that's all I have.
Thank you. I have no report as the mayor or the mayor pro temp. At our next scheduled meeting, I know the mayor has a report on his trip from Chicago that he'd like to give to the city. So please stay tuned for our next meeting, and the mayor will be giving that report. He gave us a brief report at our study session, and the extensive one, I think, will be coming at the next meeting. Is there any further business from council? Does staff have any further business? Seeing no further business, this meeting is adjourned. We're going to take a minute, and then we're going to call to order the Northern Infrastructure General Improvement District.